Turn the pages, feel the beat, dance with words, move your feet.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the start of this week's vlog. And today's reading Dippit. Woohoo! Alright, so I have just finished reading 2 novellas by Lynn Painter. One is Better Than the Prom, and the second one is Better Than Before. And in Better Than the Prom, or they're both by Lynn Painter, yes. And Better Than the Prom, we have Wes and, oh my gosh, blanking on her name right now. Right, Wes and Liz, and how like their prom didn't really go the way that they wanted to, but they were able to, get together and actually have like a decent kind of like prom, and it was just, they get together and, get to have like this special dance into the song and like have this soundtrack to themselves. So I thought that was like so super cute. And then in Better Than Before, we have a chapter of Bailey, Charlie, Wes, and Liz, and just like kind of like their antics and how they kind of get to each other and how they are just so super cute with each other, and just how like the little antics that guys do when you're young, just to get you interested, just to like make you get a response out of you, right? Anyways, I thought it was so super cute. I wasn't anticipating spending my night reading 2 novellas, but that's what I did. No regrets. Lynn Painter is a fantastic author. Alright, hopefully everybody enjoys. I suggest reading these books, or these little novellas, and we'll catch you on the next Dippit. Bye! Hello, 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 and welcome to this reading Dippit. I have finished another 2 novellas by Lynn Painter, and that is Better Than You and the 15th of December. And so Better Than You, we are following Liz and Wes, and it's just about like how that it's like their freshman year of college, and Wes is kind of embarrassed of like his kind of like friend group when he's like showing them to Liz, but you know what? Liz is okay with it, and they kind of like have like their ups and downs, or they're not really sure what to do, but of course they end up getting back to a relationship, and it's just, kind of cutesy and wholesome in that regard. And it's just, how like that sometimes they don't really line up, but they'll always end up together. And then in the 15th of December, we are following Liz and Wes, Nick and Emily, and Bailey and Charlie, about like they're at this like Christmas party, and if you read their books, you know which Christmas party I'm talking about. Happens to take place on the 15th of December, and just how life can be kind of like permanent, and how like they don't really know what's going on, but ultimately through life's endeavors and schools and other relationship and things and woes that go on, they'll always have the 15th of December, like they'll always have this party and what happened there. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was just super cute. I'm happy that I've read these 4 little novellas. I've always kind of wanted to read them. Now I kind of, I guess, when I read these like books like again, I want to make sure I read these novellas in and around the same time, because I have like more, I'm into it more. Not to say I wasn't, but I just thought, oh man, better late than never, and I'm just happy that I didn't. Yay, go me. That's kind of it. Hopefully everybody's doing alright. Happy reading, and we'll catch you on the next Dippit. Bye! Hello, hello, and welcome to this reading Dippit. Alright, so, on a Lynn Painter theme, I ended up reading The Wish Switch, which is Lynn Painter's a kind of like a YA or middle grade kind of book, and I really liked it. We are following Emma, and her Nana has told her that if you make a wish at a certain area on the 4th day of the 4th month, you'll have 4 wishes and they'll all come true. So Emma does, right? But she makes them in April. Then we fast forward to the new school year, where Emma is starting middle school in grade 7, and she wants to be on student council, but she ends up having to work with this other student named Jackson, and Jackson ends up stealing her wishes. So together they go on this adventure or to this like fantasy world, through a portal, and just to switch them back. And there we meet, Nana, and she's like half human, half fae, you know, because Nana has like passed away, but she's in this fantasy world and she helps the kids on their journey to get back. And so that way Emma can have like her wishes, right? And at the end of the day, she's also, Emma's navigating middle school, feels like she's drifting away from her two best friends, but at the end of the day, they're always going to be friends, and she makes a new friend out of Jackson, and the trio becomes a quadruple kind of friend group. Yeah, it's really cute. I enjoyed it. You know, a fun little, it's different from the kind of romance books that Lynn Painter usually writes, so I'm happy that I took the time to do that. But guess what came, and got some book mail. I got Just Friends by Haley Pam, woohoo! And what kind of started this kind of short story and YA book about Haley, or by Lynn Painter, is that Lynn Painter has a quote on Haley's book, and I guess that when Haley was writing, kind of like started writing this, she ended up sending the first couple chapters to Lynn and encouraged her to keep writing. So it's kind of cool that she actually sent her some chapters to begin with, because, you know, obviously Lynn Painter's an established writer, and then she actually responded. And I mean, it could have just been like cute, silly little fan mail, but like, I don't know how serious that was to begin with, but like at the end of the day, well, I guess that Haley like raved about Better Than the Movies so much that when Nothing Like the Movies came out, she did acknowledge Haley in the acknowledgement. So that's kind of, I guess there was that, right? But it's just kind of like, oh my gosh, that's kind of like full circle. So now that I've done that, I've read the first chapter of Just Friends already. I know when the art came out, it got a lot of bad reviews and it read very much like a first novel. So I'm hoping that this pre-ness of like how people are just kind of like, well, it's just kind of like a first debut novel, it's how it writes, that's just it, and I actually can enjoy the book objectively, you know what I mean, and I can, you know, get something out of it. What I'm liking about it is that on the back cover there is it's very nice, and I'm sure I'm going to figure out what that means, and that there is some annotated behind the scenes chapters by Haley. I do watch her on YouTube, and yeah, but you know what, it'll probably write or read as like a first book debut, but you gotta start somewhere, like, right? Like, you can't go from like, you know, at least like she wrote a book and it's out, like you don't go from here to say like, because this book's right here because I'm reading this one too, and then Back to You by B.K. Burson. Like, I know like two different authors, but like obviously this isn't her first book and it's going to be really good and well written, you know, kind of a thing, kind of comparison, right? But anyways, I'm looking forward to reading that, right? Woohoo! But anyways, that's kind of it for me right now. Give it a thumbs up. Hopefully everybody's doing alright. And we'll catch you on the next Dippit. Bye! Hello. And welcome back to this reading Dippit and the end of this week's vlog. Woohoo! So a couple weeks ago, I went to the Crackadoodle, and I ended up making this cupcake plate. Yeah, I messed up the back a little bit. I know, right? But you're never going to see that. But yeah. I thought this was super cute. Yeah, I'm glad I did that. And then I have read a few more chapters of Just Friends by Haley Pam. I will finish reading this week. But I get what people were saying with like the common everyday language that she's not using, and it's almost like she had a thesaurus kind of there. And I guess like my issue is like what kind of like the hate was just after watching some of her videos, if she's not using this kind of language there, why did she put it in her book? And especially because it's like, if she didn't know what the word banal meant, then why would she describe certain or use certain words in her book? It just doesn't track necessarily. And then there's like some things that it seem like a little bit too convenient, like about like how, you know, she's able to defer a job for a couple months, and how she really wasn't really interviewed for a position at the cafe, but she got the job anyways. And it's just, I don't know, we're gonna have to read more, but I think I'm gonna find the book to be a little cheesy, right? But you know what, good to her for writing a book. Yeah. Anyways, give it a thumbs up. Hopefully everybody's doing alright. And we'll catch you on the next vlog. Bye!